Dear Mattsons, how can I help my child with their self-esteem without making them prideful? Love, humble parents. Well, I love that question because it's actually really common in the church, right? We don't want our kids to be prideful. We want them to have humility, and yet we also want them to be confident in who God made them to be. So how do we do that?
Well, if we are tuning as parents early and as early as possible to who kids are, they're bent. That's the thing, is that verse of train up a child in the way they should go, and when they're old, they won't depart from it. It has more to do with bent. That means like God really saying to us, pay attention to how I made this little one. Mm-hmm. You know, what is their bent? And He's the artist, He's the creator, He's the one that did it. And if we notice and affirm that earlier and then reinforce it over and over and over and over again, creating environments for them to experience who they are and use their gifts and their bent and thrive in our homes, then they're more likely to remember that and carry that on when they launch. So that's one of the things I think of.
Well, and when you know your wiring, you also know your limits, and you know that you can't be all things to all people. And so that's part of that humility piece, to say we need each other. Yeah. God designed us to need each other, to need Him and to need other people.
The body of Christ.
And that's something we say over and over and over in our families to help our kids to recognize that you can't do this life alone. Arrogance and pride comes from a sense of I've got this, right? All by myself, versus the humility that says I need God's help and I need one another. I need to ask for help. So asking for help, let's affirm that in our kids. When they say, Mom, I can't tie my shoe. Can you help me? And you say, oh, buddy, have you tried yet? Let's see it. I'll stand here and I'll wait for you while you try. And then they get frustrated and you say, would you like my help? And appreciating when they ask for help instead of just leaving kids all alone. So those are small ways, all the way to being able to appreciate, you know, the science project that they did all on their own, because you're not really helping them, remember? That's part of helping them build that confidence. When we are expecting perfection from our kids and we're looking at outward things like behavior, and we're constantly correcting our kids and we're not affirming who they are, or when they're doing it well, they're going to get insecure and they're going to be looking for outward ways to find that security in all the wrong ways. And that's where we get the extreme arrogance, pride, or that false humility of I'm, you know, a worm and nobody likes me, loves me.
So look at me. I'm going to bring the clinical into the space here for a second. So we love Dr. Gary Landreth, and one of the things that he taught me and taught a lot of people in parenting is focus on the donut. Think of a donut, right? And think about the beautiful things. I love donuts, right? I love the sprinkles. I love donuts. It's a weakness. I have to admit that, and pizza. But donuts, think of the donut. Think about the donut with your kids, who they are, not the whole, not what's missing. Gosh, if we just did that with not only our kids, but with anybody, right? We start with who they are, affirming who they are in our relationships, rather than always targeting and starting with what's missing, what needs to be improved, what did they do wrong. That's the right way, and that's the brilliance behind his idea there of thinking the donut, because we're motivated as people, as humans, to respond to that, because that's what God does in us. He does that in us, and He notices who we are and affirms. And it's not that we don't address the whole. It's just from the focusing first on who we are, we can actually take a clear look at what's missing, and for the right reasons want to address those things. Not obligatory, but because we want to. We want to.
So let's practically in our home, we'll just end with this and how it looks in real life. You know, our oldest is very attuned to detail, and she is the first to notice when things are missing or not excellent. And our youngest is a great storyteller, but misses details all over the place.
Yeah, freestyle.
And so being able to affirm to our youngest to say, I just love the way you tell a story. Everybody wants to listen to you. But it's so funny how you get the details wrong sometimes, right? That's the affirming. And then once in a while, learning to laugh at ourselves about where we miss it. And then affirming our oldest of like, I love how your details are accurate every single time. And how amazing it is that you don't miss a detail. I think that must be frustrating for you sometimes when the rest of the world isn't paying attention.
The rest of our family.
And you probably need other people to help you relax sometimes, you know. And so we talk about those things, framing it with grace, framing it with a sense of God was purposeful in creating this donut and who He made you to be. And there's holes, and that's why we need each other and to lean into that. And so having that be an ongoing conversation. Let's use our words to affirm our kids. They need to hear what we think of them and how God made them. And if they don't hear it from us, they're going to be looking for it all over the rest of their life.
Yeah, there's the scriptures are clear. There's no greater part than another. Only Christ is the head. So he occupies that one space in the body of Christ. But the hand doesn't get to say it's more important than the elbow and so on and so forth. And that's what he created us for in our relationships. How do we actually show that, though? You have to learn to trust each other and lean into each other's contributions. So our oldest helps us with the details, and we lean in and create environments that she gets to use her organizational gifts and details to make us as a family better. And our youngest is so much fun when she tells the story. We love listening to her, and we put her in spaces where we like, Nev, tell us that one again.
Yeah, and you can see how God's designing all these things for the facets of their long-term life and purpose. And so part of our job is shepherding that, affirming that. And when a kid has been affirmed over and over and over in a safe environment, they're going to walk out confident. And confidence is not arrogance. Confidence is knowing who your God is and who he says you are, and to know that you need help, you're human, and you can't be all things to all people. And so even that, we want to say that to you as a parent right now, that when you feel insecure and don't know what to do, ask for help, ask God for help, and ask others for help. And to remember that you are the right parent for this job, and we're here cheering you on.